Hello, and thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Filthy with a Chance of Meta. Today we're going to be talking about the common prime from the Superman WonderWomen set, number 13, Captain Atom. Captain Atom here is wearing his standard suit and has an energy ball on his right hand. He has no team ability. He can be run at either 130 points or 75 points. He has a 7 range, the flight symbol, Indomitable, and his attack and damage symbols are standard. At the beginning of this dial, you can see that Captain Atom is primarily a ranged combat attack character. He's got a 10 movement with running shot on his first 2 clicks, an 11 attack with Psychic Blast, an 18 defense with Invincibility, and a 4 damage with his white special power, Superhuman Strategist. This power gives Captain Atom enhancement and leadership, which is good at 130 points, especially if you're running him in some of the theme teams that he has available through his keywords. At 75 points, he comes in on his 4th click, and at this point he becomes more of a close combat threat. He has Charge, starting out with a 9 speed, and again an 11 attack, this time with super strength, and a 3 damage on that first click of these close combat clicks, so he can get to a 5 or 6 damage, depending if you have a heavy object or an ultra heavy object, and of course a 4 damage with a light object. At this point in his dial, he has invulnerability, and then he ends up moving into toughness as he takes some more damage. The end of his dial, he loses his flight. He ends up with Earthbound, Neutralized, and Poison. At this point, it's representative of his suit starting to crack open, shown by his white defense power, which is Containment Suit Rupture. Captain Atom can use Toughness. Captain Atom can use Regeneration as a free action, and the D6 can't be re-rolled. When he does, and the roll is a 1, deal 2 penetrating damage to each character within 3 squares of him, and then KO Captain Atom. This power is great because you get Regeneration as a free action, and you also have Toughness, so there's a little bit of resistance to any incoming damage, so he might be able to live by the end of his dial to get to your turn and be able to regen as a free action and still become another threat as a close combat attacker with that charge and super strength if you manage to get back up to those clicks. But if he does end up rolling a 1, he still has a chance of becoming a threat in that way, especially since if you ended up in the middle of the dial before he got hit to that point, he should be pretty close to some enemies. You want to make sure that you're not close to any allies, though, and of course, this power is too inconsistent to actually rely on as a part of your strategy. As far as keywords, this character has Justice League International, Soldier, and Super Buddies. The reason I wanted to get him was because I was using him in a lot of Justice League International theme teams, where he is very good as a ranged combat attacker. I don't build him with those last clicks in mind as far as being a close combat attacker, but he can sit back, he can really take some hits, and then he can really hit him out in the middle to end of his dial, and then that regeneration as a free action gives his dial more length in some games than you would expect. So again, I would use this character primarily as a ranged combat attacker, sitting in the back, dealing out a lot of damage with that penetrating, and trying to help other lower point ranged combat characters in the back line with his enhancement and his leadership to take off action tokens. Thank you very much for tuning into this episode of Filthy with a Chance of Meta, and we hope to see you next time.